What is going on, everybody? Welcome. Yes, it's that time. It is Sunday Night Football, and I am Eric Lindquist, excited to be hosting this show for the very first time. For the first time, I am looking in your eyes.
Where's Matt?
That's probably not a good start. It's not a good start. You know what? Hit a like button, subscribe button, notification bell. That'll be a better start. I'll also change this to No House Advantage because that is our sponsor. OddsShopper is a great spot. You should definitely be checking that as well. But something you need to be checking out is the High Stakes podcast with my friend Neil Orfield. He is hosting so many different shows. He has great DraftKings and FanDuel tutorials on every single Showdown slate throughout the season because he is the Showdown GOAT, the absolute GOAT of the Showdown
Shaman. You're forgetting
Showdown Shaman.
Lofty gave me this nickname, the Showdown Shaman. I'm going with it.
Well, anyway, he's Player Q DFS on Twitter. That's Neil Orfield. How you doing, my dude?
I'm doing well. I'm pulling up our stream so that I can talk to chat while we're doing this. This is different. Doing a Sunday night show. It's the first time I've ever done a Sunday night show. It's a little bit different because I'm exhausted. You know, Sundays are I love Sundays. It's my favorite day of the week. It's also just exhausting watching football, just watching it drain me throughout the day. Started off so hot today with touchdowns from Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones. I was above the field on both, was doing great, and then just watch it all wash away throughout the day. So we gotta win some money tonight, Eric.
Well, we can do that. There were some good things that happened today. I don't know. Are you enjoying Green Bay losing every game? Because I'm enjoying Green Bay losing every game.
That is one nice thing that's going well for us.
Skull, we didn't even have to sweat our Minnesota Vikings together again. You're my Minnesota brethren. This is what we're here for. South Dakota, we're 10 minutes from the Minnesota border. We're 10 minutes from the Iowa border there in Sioux Falls, where I grew up at. Now I'm out here on the West Coast, and now I have to wake up at 5:30 a.m. to make lineups and, for a 10 a.m. lock. But those are the prices you pay for sunshine every day.
That's true. That's it's not the worst trade-off for you.
Yeah.
Although we had 74 and sunny today and yesterday here.
That's what I heard. What is going on? Nuts. This is not great. It was actually, I kind of enjoy the clouds and the overcastness that we have all week coming up here, but kind of weird to see warmer temperatures in South Dakota, Minnesota than what we had here in LA today. Like, that's not real life. Hello, Dominate07. Hello to everybody. Yes, it is Neil Orfield and myself here on Sunday nights now, taking you guys up to lock of every single Showdown slate here. I'm just excited. I get to hang out with the Showdown Shaman, talk through all of it. We got Tyler Zander there behind the virtual glass, doing amazing work here, getting you all set, showing all the things we're going to talk about on the screen there. But we're going to go position by position because that's kind of what I'm used to doing all the other shows. And we'll talk through some of the specifics of this game. But just from the onset, Pittsburgh, we got Miami, the return of Tua. Anything you're specifically looking at as we get closer to lock tonight?
I'm still sort of figuring it out as we go, exactly how the direction I'm going to be going here. But obviously love seeing Tua return. I think this Miami team is going to be able to light up the Steelers. So I guess that's one thing I'm looking at is just Miami onslaught is probably going to be in some of my builds tonight.
Seems like a good start. I feel like that's going to be what a lot of people want to do. I'm going to try to flip the build a little bit.
I like that too, actually. The Miami defense is not great. So
they're not good. And also one of the things, and let's talk things that I feel like might be a thing that it's hard to prove by it being a thing. And I tried to find some numbers for it before the show. I failed to do so. But one of the big advantages, I think, of being a Miami defense is having a lot of heat, a lot like year-round humidity, heat in an afternoon. You kick off at be 1 p.m. out there. 1 p.m. you have a kickoff, and it is 87 with 80% humidity, rocking hot, sun's beating down, and teams like Minnesota, teams like Green Bay, teams like Denver, these other teams that might be showing up there come October, Pittsburgh, obviously in this scenario. If you're playing a 1 p.m. kickoff game, I would think that would affect you very, very strongly, as opposed to, what you're routinely practicing in. I think that becomes very limited in a night game.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I never really thought about that aspect of it, but that is true.
I'm just thinking outside the box, Neil, trying to bring something different, because you're my data guy. We're going to be leaning on the tools. We're going to be doing a great, great job breaking this one down. Let's get to it, shall we? Because I want to make some money. And anything you really want to talk about the main slate before we move on? Or is it just like, I hated it. I hated all of it.
I hated all of it. I am loving that the Chiefs are kind of bringing me back into it. I'm
Yes.
returning some of my money now because I was pretty heavy on Patrick Mahomes, full Chiefs stacks. I had some Mecole Hardman even. I had some Juju. I had some MVS. So we still need to see that touchdown, but it's at least bringing me back some of that money that I lost. As I was telling you earlier, I had some technical difficulties on the afternoon slate and burned $1,350 on FanDuel. Like literally, I'm returning zero. I didn't enter lineups. And on DraftKings, I was able to kind of work around it a little bit, but I just locked in the Jets defense, Josh Jacobs, and what's his name, the Foster Moreau from the early games. And then I had to, because I had to do a workaround, I was having technical difficulties, I also had to lock in Gerald Everett for the Chargers. It's actually, I'm currently making money on that slate, despite having to lock in 4 players and not having the best players there. So
I'm okay with that.
Works out. Yeah.
Again, the Jets defense, you would have wanted to do something different with. Did you see their ownership in the Millie?
Like 44%, something ridiculous.
Bro, what are we even doing here?
Yeah, I would not have played the Jets defense at 44% ownership. I know that there is an argument to do it, even when we had this argument with the Bengals defense a few weeks ago, and there were sharp people saying it's totally fine if you work around the lineup. My approach would have probably been zeroing out that defense.
We have a Brock Purdy sighting in San Francisco, by the way. They have waved the white flag there in San Francisco. Just nice to see my Iowa State guy go, because maybe I won't get to see my other Iowa State guy go from here on out. Sadness, pain, suffering if Breece Hall is not okay. That is the thing that I think we're all paying attention to. I tried to buy as many Rainmakers, Michael Carters as possible, flipped a couple of them already, and I'll just buy better stuff.
You're really in on this flipping the Rainmakers, aren't you?
Buddy, it is going nicely now. It was going very, very poorly when I was hypnotized and buying packs and doing those things. But now we've gotten discipline. We are flipping cards. That has been kind of the routine. And once in a while, I'll reward myself with some packs here and there. But I think we found the right balance in the old Rainmaker Street. And I'm going to be figuring out exactly what I want to do with some of my cards over there, as opposed to playing them in the deep roster or what I want to do there. But nobody gives a flying F about that. They care about your and my analysis of this lovely football game we have in front of us. Let's get to it, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We start off Pittsburgh at Miami, and 18.5 implied total for Pittsburgh, 26 here for the Miami Dolphins. And the quarterback conversation, we're going to start it with Kenny Pickett, who out of Pittsburgh, he has tiny hands, smells like cabbage. You like that movie? Austin Powers.
Is that Austin Powers? Yeah.
It is. It's fine. Kenny Pickett has small hands.
I think I've heard that it doesn't hold up. I have not watched it in the past 20 years. I don't know how long it's been. No, at least 10 years, probably maybe 20 years. I haven't watched Austin Powers. I loved it when I did watch it. I have heard that it doesn't really hold up.
Are you playing NBA today?
I'm not.
Oh God. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander out. Cool. So that's going to happen. Why don't you tell the people what you're planning to do with Kenny Pickett across the industry today?
Yeah, I'm going to play some Kenny Pickett. So I'm looking at his rushing stats so far this year. He's started 2 games, played 3 games total. He's only rushed the ball 9 times for 41 yards. He does have 2 rushing touchdowns already. So I think that I'm going to generally prefer double stacking if I have Kenny Pickett in the captain spot. I'll probably allow in my 150 set, I'll allow some lineups where I'm not double stacking, just because he has rushed for 2 touchdowns already, has shown a little bit of rushing spike upside. So I'm not requiring 2 pass catchers always in the captain spot, but it is my preference. Most of my lineups where I have Pickett in the captain spot, I will have at least 1 Steelers pass catcher somewhere in the flex, and generally 2. And then in the flex spot, I think if I have Kenny Pickett in the flex spot on DraftKings, I will also have at least 1 Steelers pass catcher somewhere else in the lineup. He doesn't have, like the Lamar Jackson rushing upside where you can, he can get there without bringing anybody along with him. I think that most likely if Kenny Pickett's in the optimal lineup, he's going to have some Steelers pass catcher with him elsewhere in the lineup. Where do we have him? We have him 8.1% projected ownership in the captain spot, 8.2% off. Very neutral at 8% ownership in the captain spot. In the utility spot, we actually have Kenny Pickett looking a little bit underowned, 42% projected ownership, 47% optimal. So I'd like to be above the field on Kenny Pickett, especially in the utility spot. I might end up there in the captain spot as well, but I'm building lineups as we go today, so not entirely sure where I'll end up there.
You and me, One of us. We're absolutely getting ready to rock just on the fly here. That's part of, going from one thing to the next, building NBA, and did an NBA video right before this, and then maybe an MLB video tonight. We'll see if the Yankees decide they actually want to play baseball tonight. Probably not, but we'll see. Looking forward to Kenny Pickett doubles, please God, because if it's singles, I don't know. He doesn't have that kind of rushing upside, even though we saw him score at the goal line a couple of times. Is that more of just like how bad Najee Harris is at the moment?
Maybe. Yeah. Najee Harris does not look good just in general as a football player. I don't think that he has shown much explosiveness. It's kind of disappointing. Hopefully he can turn it around. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know if he ever was that good. He was definitely touted as being a pretty good running back. Maybe it's just the offense isn't that great, and that's kind of hurting him right now. But yeah, I guess that's probably the reason that we're seeing Kenny Pickett rush in for touchdowns, and that doesn't change tonight. So I guess we don't have to care that much.
Well, there's Tyreek Hill, who's 16K over on FanDuel, and then Tua sits there at 15.5. Oh my God. Walker the third 74-yard touchdown run.
I hate that. That's not going to help me.
Oh,
yep. RIP our lineups. I'm guessing that Eric does not have a lot of Kenneth Walker III in his lineups, just based on that reaction. He was 32% owned in the Millie, something ridiculous like that. Yeah, that one's not going to help. Actually, it might, because I did only play players from the later game. I'm guessing it won't help though. Thoughts on that, Eric?
Let's talk about Tua.
You don't want to use your words here. Errors with the DraftKings app for me. Tua, yes. Tua also, I would say he's in the same boat for me as Kenny Pickett in terms of correlation. Like I think if I have Tua in the captain spot, I probably want to have two Dolphins pass catchers in the flex. I will allow for just one because he did rush for, a handful of touchdowns last year. He has a little bit of rushing upside. I don't know if they're going to rush him now with the concussions that he's had. Are they going to risk it? I don't know if that changes anything for Tua as far as rushing goes. But in general, I'd prefer if you have Tua in the captain spot, you should have at least a couple Dolphins pass catchers in the flex spot. If you have Tua in the flex spot, you should have at least one Dolphins pass catcher elsewhere in your lineup. And in general, Tua is a great play. We've got him at 12% projected ownership in the captain spot, 10% optimal. So a little bit over owned in the captain spot, but then in the flex, 53% projected ownership in the util, 60% optimal. So again, very similar to Kenny Pickett, positive leverage in the utility spot. It would be my preference to play both of these quarterbacks in the utility spot rather than the flex.
Kenneth Walker just destroyed DraftKings, and I won't be told otherwise.
Is your DraftKings also broken right now?
Oh yeah. Can't do anything. Can't do a damn thing. Head over to FanDuel we go. Notice how I brought up FanDuel right away at the quarterback position. I was like, well, I guess this is just what's happening. Oh my God.
Okay. Everybody in chat is on the same page. DK is just
DK
down
broken.
right now.
Let me know when DK is
fun
back
thing
up.
to have 45 minutes before lock. I guess 50 minutes. We have until
everybody get your email, get your pencils up, go to the old email app of your choosing. Make sure you have support at DraftKings fired up. I'm going to do that as we talk here because, again, I'm playing a little bit more because I thought I was going to be playing a lot on this slate. We shall see what happens in the next 45 minutes. Oh, Kenneth Walker, you just ruined everything. I had some really good stuff going. Thanks,
Sir Koopa says, stop talking. Nobody can enter lineups anyway. It's probably good advice. Like, what's even the point? Let's just build out our lineups for when DraftKings comes back.
Yeah, that's what we're getting at.
We don't need to talk.
Otherwise,
we can just build.
Otherwise, we can just talk and build, and we can talk FanDuel, where Tua Tagovailoa is 15.5. I like him more than Tyreek Hill. I think the field's going to like him more than Tyreek Hill for that position. I mean, you look at some of the FanDuel optimal stuff, and we have the top the showdown tools, the single game tools for both DraftKings and FanDuel, respectively, here at Stokastic. And Tua, he's the top scorer 34.6% of the time. And yet the captain optimal percentage is 20.4% as opposed to Tyreek Hill's 14.5%. Kind of wild when you think about that $500 mattering that much, Neil Orfield.
Wait, I'm I'm kind of confused by this. Is this okay? So he's the top scorer, 34.6, but he's cheaper than
Correct.
Tyreek Hill. So if he's the top scorer more frequently, then he should be the captain.
Have a higher captain.
I guess he does have
percentage.
a higher captain optimal, so that does make sense. Yeah, that is really interesting. So I guess that means that there is some percent of the time that he is the top scorer, but still cannot fit in the lineups because he's too expensive. That's really interesting. But yeah, he has positive leverage. Tua looks even better on FanDuel in the captain spot in particular. On FanDuel, it's a little bit different because there's no multiplier for the salary in the captain spot, so it's just whoever is the highest scorer. Generally, whoever is the highest scorer in the optimal lineup will be in the captain spot. So we can just say that caveat. Sometimes the highest scorer won't fit, but whoever is the highest scorer in the winning lineup is going to be in the captain spot, and we have Tua in that spot 20.4% of the time in the optimal, only owned 17.4% of the time. So some positive leverage for Tua in the captain spot.
Yeah, positive leverage. We need something positive in our lives today after that Kenneth Walker just ridiculousness. And now DraftKings is down, and now left is right, back is forward, up is whatever. It's quarterbacks on a showdown slate, y'all. I don't know what to tell you other than a lot of the time you're playing the leverage game. Quarterbacks are just as reliable as it gets. Even the worst of them find ways of being optimal in a lot of spots. Andy Dalton was 1% the other day up in the old captain spot. Assuming DraftKings.com has not been torched to the center of the earth, Mordor style, and it comes back up. I'm looking at Tua Tagovailoa right now with 10.2% captain optimal percentage, 59.6% utility optimal percentage. Utility wise, he is just so positive leverage. And I think that's going to primarily be where I get him. But are you going to get some captain Tua
on
DraftKings? Like how much are you going to be over the field on that?
Probably, possibly. If I'm over the field at all, it would be just barely. Probably not. I mean, we have negative leverage for Tua in the captain spot, but my guess is I won't be too far under that 18% number on. I was reading Tyreek Hill. So we have only 12%. My guess is I'll actually be over the field on Tua. I tend to be over the field on quarterbacks when they're not getting a ton of ownership. And part of that is just the way I build because of the way I make groups where I give boosts to players, to the pass catchers when I have a quarterback in the captain spot. That naturally leads to getting more of them unless I do something like I did, like a dumbass for Andy Dalton. I gave him the thumbs down. I was getting 20% Andy Dalton. I was like, I don't want 20% Andy Dalton. So I gave him the old thumbs down, ended up at like 6% and regretted that.
Isn't that great? Like the one time you just need to not do that.
Exactly.
And it's like the one time you remember to do it. That happens a lot. You can play armchair quarterback the next day, but for the most part, Neil, I think you're doing pretty good, my friend. Think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm doing all right with the showdown so far.
Humble brag. Just throw it in there. Actually, don't even humble brag it. Just actually brag it.
I mean, I'm not doing well at anything else. It's just the showdown, but hopefully we can keep it up.
I was doing good until that Kenneth Walker dagger on FanDuel.
That's brutal. I kind of want to know. I want to be able to actually see if I have anything that had him that is live now, but
I had all the Hardman and MVS, and it's like the first time that stack has ever worked out.
Yeah.
Almost caught Burrow too. Patrick Mahomes. It's just wild. People didn't want to play Patrick Mahomes. Just wild. Let's continue on our merry way, shall we? Anything else at quarterback? I feel it's pretty straightforward. Get to some of them.
Yeah, I don't see myself. I don't think I'm going to go to any backups. I would say that this is a spot where you could theoretically, because it's just one hit to the head. But, concussions are, it would require a hit to that. Like, it's not something like a leg injury where it's just going to pop up on its own. It would have to be a vicious hit onto it. So obviously we're hoping against that. I'm probably not going to do any backup quarterbacks here. Sometimes with quarterbacks coming in a little bit questionable there, I do sometimes throw in a couple there, but I don't see myself doing it. I guess that's the only other thing that we could say about quarterbacks. We've already talked about the two starters. I don't see myself going to the Pittsburgh backups. I'm probably not going to Teddy either.
Says the website's down too. Is our website down, or is it just DK?
DK appears to be back. Well, it did for a second, but I clicked contest and then the site failed again. So I'm not really sure what's happening.
Nope. Lights aren't on.
Page.
Didn't pay rent. Didn't make rent this month. Good job, DK.
They bought too many NFTs. We all make that mistake sometimes.
Yeah. I just want to get in there and buy more Keenan Allen after the buy. Well, his price will go down. And then Mike Williams got carted off the field. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Eckler TD. People in chat are saying
Breece Hall has a likely ACL tear. Are you kidding me?
That's rough.
Advances in modern science, he'll be back in 4 months.
Shut up, Tyler.
I don't think Eric cares about 4 months from now. He wants him this season. If he's anything like me, I want him back this season. But good. I'm happy for Breece Hall with the advancements in modern medicine. That is, I will agree with you there. That's he will be back better than ever at some point.
Well, my best ball season is over. That's cool.
Did you have a lot of Breece Hall?
He's my second highest on running back.
And he was looking like a great pick too. That's the worst when it's like, I nailed this pick and then they have to stay healthy. My app is coming back occasionally, briefly, but best ball is for drooler, says Brad Clayton. I think best ball is a lot of fun. Best ball is one of those things that just gives me so much entertainment throughout the year. And you just set it and forget it. You know, you're done after the summer. So I really like best ball. Maybe I'm just a drooler though. That's fair. DK down again. People are confirming here.
Bet $10, win $200 if any team scores a goal in the NHL tonight. Simply go to the link below. Click on the BetMGM link that is there. You bet $10 on an NHL money line. Doesn't have to even be the team that wins the game. If either team in the game scores a goal, you will get $200 of free play in bets right now. Please go down, sign in the description box below, click on that link, get your $200 now. You just bet $10. If somebody came up to you on the street and said, hey, here's $200, just give me 10. You would do that every single time. Why wouldn't you do it at BetMGM? Bet any money line in the NHL.
I love your enthusiasm, Eric. It's a great deal. It's $10 turn into $200, and you can actually do it right now. My DraftKings is finally back up, by the way. Okay, but it also says that I have no upcoming entries, which is false. So make of that. I guess it's not entirely back up. Yeah, this is tough. Our first show together, and DraftKings is just not working. So what are you going to do? We'll do our best.
Let's go to the running back position, shall we? We're going to talk FanDuel.com, the site that actually works. That makes a lot of sense to me. Najee Harris, talked about him a second ago. I'm sure we have 48 guys that you want to play at the running back position, not named Najee Harris, because we got to find that one guy who can do an outlier thing. Go ahead, talk about Najee Harris.
Yeah, so Najee Harris, we've got in the captain spot on FanDuel 5.3% of the time, captain optimal 3% of the time. So some negative leverage on Najee Harris in the captain spot. In the util spot, we have him owned 18% of the time, optimal 16% of the time. So negative leverage on Najee Harris in both spots. Honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going to actually be under the field on Najee. Usually with these negative leverage spots, I do end up under the field. I'm going to think about whether I actually, because the nice thing about Najee is, you don't need to correlate him with anybody, and he takes away from, all those pass catchers and the quarterback. So when you're leaving salary on the table, sometimes it just makes it easier to play those running backs if they have the upside. Obviously, Najee has not shown it at all so far this year. We also have the Miami defense is a bit of a pass funnel, so that hurts Najee a little bit this year. Last year, we saw him targeted a good amount. This year, he's only getting, I think he's been targeted 18 times in 6 games, so 3 targets per game. Not great, but I feel like any game that could pick up 31st, Miami's 31st against the pass. The Steelers should theoretically be able to move the ball, and Najee obviously could fall into the end zone. So I don't think that Najee is the worst play in the world. Do you think you'll be playing any Najee?
Yeah, I'm going to definitely play some Najee Harris. I'm fine, y'all. We're having fun. This is a lot of fun. And don't be wagering more than you should lose. It's not about today with Breece Hall. It's more of like, I'm a diehard fan. Coming from Iowa State, I thought he was a much better running back than David Montgomery coming out of Iowa State. And he was just starting to get going. It would have been a lot of fun, but such is life. We continue on our merry way. Najee Harris makes a lot of sense. My question for you is what we do in terms of captain, what we do in terms of MVP with Najee Harris. He's yet to show anything worthy of putting him up in that kind of a spot this season. Going up against Miami here, this is like the if you can't do it here, you can't do it spot. Miami's defense is just not all that good in general. I want to get to some Najee in the captain. I don't know if I should, though. How are you planning to handle him?
Yeah, so we have negative leverage on Najee in the captain spot. Obviously, we don't love to see that. He did play 69% of snaps, pretty nice last game. So, up from he only played 49% of snaps in week 5. So pretty nice to see him getting a few more snaps there. He seems to be splitting directly with Jaylen Warren, who played 51% in week 5, 31% in week 6. So I think those are our only Pittsburgh running backs that we have to really worry about playing. I guess we've got Derek Watt. If you want to play the fullback, could always vulture a touchdown there. But I'm still working on whether I'm going to play some Najee. On FanDuel, he's only 1,300. So a little bit of price savings from the top guys. On DraftKings, we got Najee at 8,200. So the price is kind of right. He does allow you to do a little bit more with your lineups, particularly if you're leaving money on the table. I actually think that there's a good chance that I end up above the field on Najee in the captain spot at 6%.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning that way because you look like slow garbage. That's kind of funny. Kind of feels that way from time to time, but I think he's got to be somebody at 8,200. You're starting to get that for Showdown. Even we're talking about a discount for a guy who has yet to not get double-digit carries in a game, who is yet to just have multiple games now since week 2. He's had at least 3 targets in 5 of 6. That feels good enough for me to be invested in some captain spots. He can fall in the end zone and you're set. Why not him? And I know the pass catchers are going to get a lot of attention from the Miami side. So much so that I think it's almost impossible for me to envision a scenario where Najee isn't positive leverage in the captain spot.
Yeah, it's I like Najee in the captain spot despite our tools not loving him. I think that I'll be playing him both FanDuel and DraftKings a good amount in the captain spot. And I'll have him in the util spot some too, despite the negative leverage. I think I might be eating a little bit of that just because of the price tag.
Alvin Demir, I need a refund. A refund from what? We got DraftKings going. It's time. I just need a refund from the slate now. That would be great. That was just a brutal run. Brutal half hour here to start off the Sunday night shows. But here's the thing. Positive vibes only. That's what we're getting towards here. Positive vibes only.
That's right.
That's what we're here for. Anything you want to talk about with some of these ancillary running backs? These Derek Watts, if you will. These Jaylen Warrens, if you will, who's actually more in play for sure. 2,800 for him. We saw some passing volume going his direction against Buffalo, but I think a lot of that was mainly blowout. I don't know how much I want to get to running backs. I think I'm much more inclined to get to more wide receiver tight ends, not just because of PPR, but hard for me to envision goal line scenarios where Najee still isn't that guy.
So are we just talking about running backs for Pittsburgh?
Running back?
Now?
Oh, just from Pittsburgh. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Jaylen Warren would be the other one that I'm strongly considering playing. I think that I'm going to be above the field. We've got Jaylen Warren projected for 8.7% ownership at 2,800. As I just said, he seems to be splitting evenly with Najee Harris. And in the past 2 games, we've seen Jaylen Warren get 51% of the snaps and then 31% of the snaps. So he is very much in play at 2,800. They seem to be wanting him to be involved. Obviously, he took a step back last week in terms of involvement, but even then it was 31%. So he's just very involved and not getting a ton of ownership. So I actually like Jaylen Warren quite a bit.
All right, let's go to the Mostert with the mostest. That is Raheem Mostert. We've got Chase Edmonds. We've got this Miami backfield. Seems like it's pretty pro Mostert here at this point in time. Edmonds, you're not getting any kind of a discount for a lot less of the work from what we've seen the last few weeks. How do you kind of weigh that opportunity cost between getting to shares of Chase Edmonds more than like a Raheem Mostert? Because it feels very difficult to do, but I just know we're going to get to the coin flip at flip when we see all the ownership. And I feel like Mostert's going to be 3-4x that of Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, exactly. So he doesn't come at a discount in terms of price, but he comes at a pretty big ownership discount, which makes me interested just because, again, I need to stipulate this several times per Showdown show I do. I'm talking about the largest field GPP.
Correct.
We're not talking about cash games here. For the largest field GPPs, because Chase Edmonds comes in at a big ownership discount relative to Raheem Mostert. We've got Mostert owned 32% of the time, Chase Edmonds 12% of the time. And he does come at a $1,600 price discount as well. Because of those factors, I see myself being above the field on Chase Edmonds just because he's 6,200. He does have a relevant workload. He does, pass catch. I think that I'm going to be above the field on Chase Edmonds, or I should say, I know that I'm targeting getting above the field on Chase Edmonds here.
Yeah, I just got my DraftKings got back. I was editing my lineup there. You can't go to the edit page. That's going to be fun for 170 lineups. Best of luck to me there. Let's see. Do I have to hand build these out? Let me just see. I think I do. This is disgusting. See, I think you're able to hand build on the desktop right now. Oh, it won't let me save the lineup. There you go.
Wait,
that's
we
a
can't
problem.
use our Fantasy Cruncher right now. Is that what you're saying? Is it's not uploading?
No, you can use Fantasy Cruncher.
Okay.
You just can't. You can't go to the edit lineups, edit entries on DraftKings, and put anything there.
Gotcha.
Yes, not loading there. And I tried to just save my version as I'm going through and scrolling. You can go to the page. You just simply can't put a lineup in. So that's going to be a fun sweat for the next half hour. Good stuff. Good stuff. He's going to win all the contests because he's the only one who can play. I wasn't hitting, securing my entries on anything because I just assumed at some point, because, we're not heathens, we should be able to get functionality here back, but we continue on our merry way. I know it's very, very frustrating. Eric just finding out. What do you mean I'm just finding out? I definitely knew it was down before because I kept getting the error page, but couldn't save anything before because I'm kind of, I don't know. I have my notes talking through the slate for you guys, helping you guys out. I already have a lot of my stuff done in Cruncher. So any other tertiary running back options? We've got Myles Gaskin out here. Alec Ingold getting a little bit of attention from you. I'm assuming that's going to be your boy down here at the absolute doldrums, but any interest in other running backs?
All right, let me actually look up Alec Ingold's carries so far this year because he is somebody that I am naturally inclined to play just because he's getting no ownership. But I want to see if he's actually getting some carries and or targets so far. Yeah, he's had multiple targets in 3 different games already this year. Of course, he's also had 0 targets in 2 games and 1 in the 6th game there. So, not a ton of targets there, but if he has these opportunities, he's had 4 total carries for the year and 7 total targets in 6 games. So he is very much a boom bust type play. Chances are he's going to score 0 fantasy points tonight. In a 150 set, I will probably have a few shares of Alec Ingold just because of that 5% ownership. But he is a fairly thin play. Even as far as showdown sites go, we sometimes have, speaking of, I just have to vent for a second here. Paris Campbell. 3 weeks ago, Paris Campbell on a showdown slate. I was all about him. Let's play Paris Campbell tonight. Let's jam him in. He comes in at under 4% ownership on the showdown slate and plays every snap, runs every route, and does nothing. And then the past 2 weeks, of course, he's been crushing it. So showdown can be a bitch sometimes, but it's not a very high confidence play for me. Alec Ingold, I'll probably have him in some lineups though, just because he's going to be low owned and has been targeted 7 times this year.
Eric Traub, $9.99. Appreciate it. It's now saying that I have no lineups upcoming or live entries to edit. That's fun.
That's what mine said.
Not sure if I'll be able to get my lineups. And he says, but if I can, who's your favorite player sub 10% in utility on DK to take a shot on? So there you go. That is the right question for the right guy. That is my boy Neil Orfield over there. Favorite play under 10% in the utility.
Jaylen Warren, I'm seeing right away, is 7.6% projected ownership in the utility spot. Am I in the right spot? Yeah, it's Jaylen Warren for me.
Okay, Jaylen Warren.
Same boat?
No, I was probably going to be going towards some disgusting wide receiver tight end spot. If I'm going to play a little bit more Najee, he's so cheap that you just need Warren to get on the field, make a big play, and get off the field. Like that's kind of what we're hoping for in those kind of scenarios. And you've been really good at capturing those. And you can check out all his videos breaking down the slates for all the primetime games. I would strongly recommend watching those, where he talks you through his player pool and how he's building out for each specific team. Really, really good stuff that can get you prepped, not just for this show, but then prep for your own lineups, so that when crazy things like Cruncher, we're trying to get our Cruncher lineups over to DraftKings.com right now, and incapable of doing it.
I was just able to do it, by the way. So mine shows you do not have any upcoming or live entries in the download. And of course, I guess that's because I had already downloaded my spreadsheet. So you might be SOL if you have not already downloaded your
spreadsheet. You're in trouble.
Yeah.
It's just wild. Sorry to everybody. Love the conspiracy theories here now. I have 9 minutes to get Shea Gilgeous-Alexander out of my NBA lineups. That'll be fun.
Okay.
Try to get all my OKC stuff updated. I'm not having fun.
What do you need from me here? What do you want me to
I'm doing great. I can still go through. Okay. There's nothing I can do about it if DraftKings is just not going to work if I keep getting the error message.
Oh, that's right. You can't do anything until, good point.
I can't do a damn thing, and I have 9 minutes. So we'll find out. But confidential on it. All good now. No.
Brad Clayton says DK is down ACL tear. Is that a joke about drafting, or is that actually we
That's
saw
a Brees
DK
Hall.
Metcalf?
That's a Brees Hall.
No, but DK Metcalf also was carted off today. I have no idea what happened. I was not watching the game, so I don't actually know if that's DFS Crusher says DK in the tank. I can't tell if these are. I honestly cannot tell if they're joking about DraftKings the site or DK Metcalf right now. Being serious about DK Metcalf.
I would like both to work.
Yeah.
That would be great. Well, let's go to the wide receiver position. You know, one place where I'm pretty sure you could get some money, you could get some action right now. That is at No House Advantage. I'm going to jump ahead and talk about them because a lot of you guys are frustrated. I'm very frustrated with DraftKings at the moment. There's no doubt this sucks, but No House Advantage. Use promo code Stokastic. Yes, promo code Stokastic will get you $50 first match deposit bonus over there. We are playing player props, and their site is working just fine. You deposit $50, you'll get $50 in your account. Their $20 10K to first Sunday Night Football Showdown is less than half filled. 503 total entries out of 1,200. The $5 is only 22% filled. So I'm just saying, you could go on and put $10 or $20 over on No House Advantage. You're literally having a 1 in 104 chance. And you know why it's even better than that is because we have projections on the site at Stokastic completely free to you. Yes, completely free. The best projections from guys like Eddie Live, from Steve Buzzard, from Alex Osmo Baker himself, available right now over at Stokastic. So download that now. Go sign up over there. But get in on this Thursday night football or this Sunday night football showdown. They've got, you know, whether it's Monday night, the Thursday night, all of these standalone slates. I haven't seen something get remotely close to filling yet. You want to be taking advantage of overlay. You need to be taking advantage of overlay. Be doing that right now here. I have a question for you, my friend.
Yeah.
Anything over on No House Advantage that stands out to you? Because I've got one that I think we can take some, we could definitely take some smash button towards. It is Mr. Jalen Waddle over 5.5 receptions. I am absolutely in love with that one. My PPR monster himself is back doing amazing things. Actually, longer ADOT this season. But how do you feel about Jalen Waddle 5.5 receptions?
Yeah, if you saw me make a face there, it's because I was thinking Jalen Warren. I thought you were thinking of Jalen Warren. I was like, you don't want to make that bet. Yeah, Jalen Waddle, that makes a lot of sense. I like that bet.
Okay. Well, just wanted to throw that one out there. I like it for the people.
Let me see if there's anybody I want to take a bet on.
George Pickens. Come on.
3.5 receptions for George Pickens. Give me the over on that.
3.5 receptions. Love that. George Pickens. Let's go. Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Oh God, that guy.
Gotta love him.
DK overlay. No, I doubt it. All right, sights up. Sights up.
Nope.
Error page on the edit again. Oh, sad stuff. Either way. Let's continue on, shall we? Wide receiver position, but check out No House Advantage. Absolutely. Thank you to them for all of the great stuff that they offer you guys. We're talking massive amounts of overlay that exist over there. Take advantage of that every single day that you possibly can. Just screenshot life is great when it's 10K that you're basically getting on less than half filled tournaments. Do that. Thank you to them. Let's jump to the wide receiver position.
Actually, can I make one statement? Because somebody just said that there's going to be overlay on DraftKings. I'm trying to find if that's actually true. I am still having trouble with my app, but I think it is actually more likely now because we've had so many tech issues with DraftKings that either there is overlay or there's a lot of shitty lineups because people, were planning on doing them before they went out to dinner or whatever and just didn't have the opportunity. So I think that there probably is an advantage to playing tonight. So I would say that this is a night that it might make sense to play more than you typically would.
Interesting. Look at that. Fire it up. I'm a big fan of taking advantage whenever late stuff like this happens, but I'm just mad because I spent however long doing NBA. Probably shouldn't have, knowing this show was coming up today, but I did. And now I can't edit anything that I need to. So I can't edit that in 4 minutes. And I'm going to the Clippers game. We got courtside Clippers tickets tonight. Man. Jordan Klein in the house going to be joining me, my wife, a couple of her friends. We're going to be going to that Clippers game. So kind of a bummer. Yeah. You heard what I did. Yeah, Tyler. It's fancy. It's fanciful.
I missed it. I was still looking to see if the contest.
It was like, oh, cool, Eric. Very nice.
I'd rather get hit in the head than go to an NBA game.
Well, you're an idiot.
You're an absolute moron. Let's go to the wide receiver position here. Let's start with the Pittsburgh side here. And, well, you started with George Pickens, so I kind of want to start there as opposed to Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson. I do have a favorite between the three, and we'll talk. It's weird how I'm going down narrative street, but I'm going to. How are you feeling about this wide receiver trio? Who's your favorite between Johnson, Claypool, and Pickens?
I mean, Deontay Johnson is obviously the one who has the highest floor here. He has run the most routes. He's run 226 routes. So actually not that much more than the other two, but he's been targeted 55 times already this year. I like all of them because this Miami defense is a pass funnel, as we've said. So I think that all of these guys look really good to me. As I said, Deontay Johnson targeted 55 times so far this year. Claypool and Pickens have each been targeted 35 times so far this year, which is also, 6 times per game, and through 6 games, 35, just under 6 times per game. So these guys are getting their looks. I like them all quite a bit against this Miami defense. I'm going to be mixing and matching. I might even have some lineups I might have some lineups that have Pickett in the captain spot with all 3 of these guys in the flex. I would guess is going to happen. I'm not going to force that in, but I'm guessing that's going to make it into some of my lineups just because they're all relatively affordable. Deontay Johnson, only $8,000. I mean, that's a $3,200 price discount from Tyreek Hill, and he's the wide receiver 1 for the Pittsburgh. He's in the better matchup. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, the better player, but the better offense. But Claypool only 6,600, Pickens only 6,400. Pickens I like because he's 64. He's the cheapest of them, and he's only 21% projected ownership. I think he's a really talented receiver. So I think for a large field GPP, I'm going to be above the field for sure on Pickens, almost certainly on Claypool. I'm not as sure about Deontay Johnson, but Deontay Johnson certainly has the highest floor and probably has the highest ceiling as well.
All righty. I'm in love with Chase Claypool, if only because I think that they are trying to do something to ship him on his merry way.
Yep.
I think there's been a lot of reports this week, and it's so hard to speculate and say, oh, well, this is kind of the way that it is. But it sounds like Green Bay, they are now 3-4. I think they're going to do a lot of things to try to get a wide receiver in there. Sounded like Chase Claypool was the guy that they had targeted and tried to find some way of making it work. We'll see if that ends up being the case. But as it stands right now, I got to think that either way, you go to a 2-5 team if you lose this game. So you're going out and trying to win. I think he's got as good of a chance as the other two of having the ceiling game. I mean, in terms of projection, he's within 3 of Deontay Johnson, get a 10% ownership decrease in the utility spot on DraftKings. And then between him and Pickens, they're almost identically owned, identically projected. They're within a fantasy point of each other. Why not the guy that you're trying to ship that I think is somebody you could maybe get something for? You don't want to be shipping Pickens. You can't ship Deontay Johnson. Got to feel like Chase Claypool might be somebody you want to show off on an old Sunday night.
I don't hit that narrative street. That's an interesting thought. I had not, but that has been the rumor, right? That they want to trade Chase Claypool. I guess my counter would be, don't teams already know what Chase Claypool is? But he also hasn't shown in a while, aside from last week, I guess. I kind of like that thought that maybe they want to get Claypool more involved, kind of showcase him a little bit for teams that might be interested in a wide receiver. That's an interesting thought.
It's not like Tomlin is going anywhere. Like for me, it's like I would want to, if I'm a 2-4 football team and I look awful, my division is brutal, the AFC is way, way up with Buffalo and Kansas City. Chase Claypool has been, we saw in Minnesota last year, celebrating when you need to be running that ball back to the line of scrimmage. You were at that game?
Yep.
Obviously, there's been some, it's not off the field character stuff, because you watch something like that, that's not what it is. It's almost like lackadaisical effort, and he's such a specimen. He was at Notre Dame. He is in the NFL. We'll see, but I'm going to be way over on Chase Claypool today. I'm going to kind of ride with that narrative. I think sometimes on Showdown, you can combine a little bit of math and art. And for me, I think Chase Claypool is kind of the guy from Pittsburgh that I want to be way, way overweight to in both the captain spot and the utility.
Yeah, no, I think on main slates, narrative it's usually a bad idea to let narrative affect you too much. Right. But on Showdown, as I say, let's get weird, and it's an interesting narrative. You don't always have to follow the math on Showdown, and I think that makes some sense.
Eric, you get SGA out. Yeah, I got him out, but I didn't get anything in that I needed to edit, so I had to hand edit and just whatever. It's a whole thing. I was able to get it done. We move on. I want a good show for you guys. Let's close strong. Other wide receiver options from Pittsburgh, I don't really got it for you. Miles Boykin, I would rather eat dust.
Yeah, I mean, we have a 0 projection for Miles Boykin. I guess the argument for playing somebody else from Pittsburgh would be, this is the NFL. Players get hurt, and then one of these guys is probably going to play. But currently, the only Steelers receivers in my player pool are those top three. They just play so much more than everybody else. I kind of want to look at the Steelers snap counts from last game, see if anybody else. Boykin played 4 snaps the last game. Steven Sims played 6 snaps. Maybe Steven Sims is a guy we should be thinking about. I don't know. Currently these guys, we have a projection of 0 for all these guys. Usually for a player to get on my radar, unless I've seen something like pop up in my Twitter or something, I don't even think about guys that are projected for 0 fantasy points, because our projections are the best in the business. I trust our guys generally, though they're going to be pretty good. Of course, we saw the last showdown slate. I almost missed Rashid, whatever his name is, until Savoca brought him up, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll throw some in there. And then he crushed it. Although he didn't end up being in the optimal lineup anyway. Yeah. So
that game wouldn't have hurt us. Ridiculous game. Yeah. Nothing like Cardinals defense with Andy Dalton and the captain to really get you going.
Yeah. Chat who cried wolf appears to be right. DraftKings seems to be working for me.
It is. I saw it is. Go. We're moving on. We've got. I'm just upset with everything. Let's go to Sam Pierce, member for 2 months, best captain on DK for a single entry GPP. Let's just assume it's like 5,000 entries. 5,000 entries seems like a good number. Well, actually, they're mostly 15,000. We'll say 15,000. Favorite captain for a single entry, Neil.
Wait, on which site?
On DraftKings.
On DraftKings, favorite captain, probably Muth. Pat Fryermuth looks really good in our tools. He's a play that is sometimes some of these players I've talked about have kind of go against tools, but Moose is looking at 5.2% projected ownership in the captain spot, 6.8% optimal. But let me look a little closer. That's one player who stands out to me as having some positive leverage here. How's Jaylen Warren looking? 0.6% ownership on Jaylen Warren. I'm going to be above that almost certainly.
Okay. Jaylen Warren. Let's get this other one here too. Chris Albers, $2. Appreciate you guys. Do we think Cedric Wilson gets targets? No, but maybe.
Yeah. So let's see. Cedric Wilson played 15 snaps the last game. He's probably going to be in my player pool. I will have some Cedric Wilson. Trying to find my sheet here for Cedric Wilson. Has run 62 routes, been targeted 7 times so far this year. He's only played 5 games. He's in play. He's not my favorite. If you're just playing like 1 to 5 lineups, he's probably not my favorite of the, kind of out there plays, but in 150 set, my guess is I will be above the field. Let me actually see what his projected ownership is. So we've got him 6.2% ownership. I currently have 11.4% Cedric Wilson. I'm taking shots there. There's always, of course, garbage time. Some of these players that don't usually make it in, this is showdown. We play different narratives. Some of these guys are viable just because theoretically there could be an injury, there could be garbage time. There are ways for these guys to become relevant.
Let's talk the big guys. These are the big guys right here. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. They're both popular. They both should be popular. I'm going to kind of flip the question here. If you had to be fading one in one lineup today, who are you more inclined to fade, Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle?
Who am I more inclined to fade in one lineup?
Mm-hmm. I would probably just say play both in one lineup tonight if you were playing one, just because of how secure they are. And I can easily get different with Claypool. If I play AK Deontay Johnson, it gets a little bit more difficult in some of the builds I'm trying to target. But yeah, they're both just such smashes.
Yeah, but I mean, in one build, if you're just building one lineup,
mm-hmm.
It's a really tough question because I don't really think about things that way, and they're both. I think about how good they are as plays overall. It would probably be Tyreek that I would fade in one lineup just because he is so much more expensive. You can and Waddle still has major upside. He gets targeted so much, he can have so many receptions. Maybe the touchdowns don't go to Tyreek Hill, so it would probably be Hill that I fade in one lineup, but I wouldn't feel comfortable about it.
Are you doing your typical putting a cap like 49.4, 49.5 on the slate when you're building out your 150 today?
Yep. I'm putting a salary cap on there. I've been asked to tell people exactly what my salary cap is. I don't want to tell you exactly that would defeat the purpose. The reason I don't tell you is because it would defeat the purpose for me and for you if you set the same salary cap that I do. It's going to be more restrictive than $500 off. I can say that much. I'm going to be leaving more salary than $500, but that's also because I'm willing to lose it all on a given slate. If you're not willing to, or I mean, there's always a possibility that you lose it all, but you're more likely to lose it all if you leave a ton of money on the table. You just have to know that going in.
DK working on desktop. Whew.
Yeah.
Glory be and the saints be praised. We're going to get lineups in, baby. We're going to get lineups in. Let's go to these two wide receivers. I just wanted to ask a different version of the question, just for people that I know do different things on Showdown. Some people play one big lineup and a lot of stuff. Even top players I see do that a lot, where they'll play, a train of their favorite lineup and everything, or their highest projected or their favorite tournament build. And then there's times when you're just building out 150 pretty much every single time. I think routinely that is your method for both sites. But Tyreek Hill, are you going to be above or below the 49.4% ownership in the utility spot on DraftKings?
I will be, it looks like right there. I'm just under 50% currently. If I had to guess where I end up, if I do another crunch, I'll probably end up below, but that's again, because I'm leaving a good amount of salary on the table.
Right. And
he is, I believe, the most expensive player on the slate. It's not because I don't like Tyreek Hill as a play. And even right now, even with that salary, I'm getting right with the field. So he projects so well for us that I'm getting close to the field despite the huge price tag.
All right, let's continue our hit the like button for Eric. All right, appreciate you, Get a Farmer's Boy. We got a super chat from him earlier saying hit the like button for me. Going through some things, going through some Breece Hall feelings. Okay, it is what it is. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right though. Let's look at other wide receivers here. We talked about Cedric Wilson there for a hot second, but I think the one guy, well, actually two guys, but one guy that definitely needs to be considered and talked about is Trent Sherfield. Now, it hasn't shown up in the box score, and I'm kind of uncomfortable knowing that he's going to be around 16% in the utility. He's absolutely not going to be somebody that I play in the captain spot, but what is your game plan for him as opposed to River Raycraft and these other individuals that sound like extras in like Paul Bunyan tales from when we grew up in Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean, Trent Sherfield is the best play of them from a just a projection standpoint. He played 67% of snaps last week, 66% the week before, 62%, 60. Like he's been playing plenty in the past several games for Miami. He appears to be the wide receiver 3 pretty clearly for the Dolphins. So I like playing some Trent Sherfield. As you said, he is projected for 13.5% ownership right now. That might have changed since I last refreshed my fantasy cruncher, but we've got him somewhere in the teens projected ownership. He is 4,600, so he's the price tag is there for him. But currently, I am below the field. I'm actually part of the reason I'm running more crunches is I don't like getting so little Sherfield. My guess is I will be close to or a little bit under the field on Sherfield, just because I am targeting. I'm really focusing on these relatively low owned Pittsburgh receivers that it's making me get to. I'm not going way over the field like I usually do with the 13.5%. I am going to the Pickens, Claypool, and then also Jalen Warren and Chase Edmonds. I'm getting above the field on those guys, which is making it harder for me to get above the field on Sherfield, but I'm trying to get, to just a little bit under the field there.
Let's go to the tight end position here. We're going to hit turbocharge 10 minutes. Things got thrown off a little bit today, but we continue on our merry way because we are professionals. This is a professional show. Mike Gesicki, Pat Freiermuth. I'm going to lump them all together. These two at the top. Which one do you prefer on today's slate?
Interesting. So I'm just pulling up Mike Gesicki's stats because he did have a bit of a renaissance last week. 7 targets, 6 receptions for 69 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I don't know. Are they trying to? Here's another example of a player who might be on the trading block. Maybe they're trying to showcase Mike Gesicki. I know he had requested a trade at one point. So it's a little bit of a tough question because he had not been very involved for most of the year. His high end targets prior to last week had been 4 in the previous 5 games. Now he's up to 7 targets last game, 6 receptions, had a great game. So maybe he earned himself some more looks. Maybe he eats into Trent Sherfield a little bit. In general, though, it's going to be, I think Pat Freiermuth is still going to be my preference of the two of them. I am going to be playing some of both, obviously, but I think that my preference is still going to be Fryermuth, we've got him under-owned in both the captain spot and the utility spot. We have Fryermuth projected for 5% ownership in the captain spot, 7% optimal, 26% ownership in the util spot, 31% optimal. So I would say the Muth is my favorite tight end on this slate. Gesicki actually has positive leverage in the captain spot in particular, coming in at 2.2% ownership, 4% optimal, and then in the utility spot, 18.4% ownership, 19.1% optimal. So Gesicki looks good in that captain spot. We just saw him have a 2-touchdown game. He's 5,200, so I guess it makes sense. My preference overall, though, would be Muth.
Did you get all your lineups in?
Not for FanDuel.
Okay. I want you to focus on that for 2 seconds here, because I'm going to answer some questions. I think you'll be able to talk about them off the cuff here for a second. I can also talk to you guys about Hardwood, the promotion we have going for 10 days. $10. $10 will get you everything that you want behind the paywall here at Stokastic. That is all Stokastic Platinum. $10 for 10 days of it. Right now, NBA, NHL, NFL, PGA, soccer, esports. My God, we have a lot of shit over here. And it is so, so good. You want to be signed up. You want to take advantage of this, because $10 for 10 days, it's a lot more expensive than that normally. So you want to take advantage when these offers show up. Do it now with promo code Hardwood, celebrating the NBA back in session. Cool. We have some super chats, as I said. I'm going to read them a little bit slower so you can get your lineups and you'll be set. Sterling Tice, member for 6 months. Yes, he's kooky for kickers, like everybody is on these showdown slates lately. Why? Because apparently they just smash. That's all they do now.
Showdown. Yep.
My God. He wanted to know, though, Boswell or Sanders?
Boswell or Sanders? Okay. I just look at the tools for making these kind of decisions. So we've got Sanders with some positive leverage in the captain spot, 2.3% ownership, 4.4% optimal. Looks pretty neutral in the util spot, 20% ownership, 21% optimal. And then Boswell, we've got it 0.8% ownership in the captain spot, 1.6% optimal. A little bit of negative leverage actually in the util spot, 13.4% ownership, 11.1% optimal. So I guess it would be Jason Sanders for me.
Okay. Good stuff. I think Jason Sanders is probably the guy for me too. Even though I'm hoping Boswell does well for Rainmakers purposes, which, by the way, I need to finish that up. I forgot completely about that. Oh boy, that's going to be a sweat. It's going to be a huge sweat to get those.
We have 7 minutes, right? It's 7:20.
But I mean, you got to so dead lineups for like the deep roster stuff. I transfer out with dead cards, and I put the Cedric Wilson elites that I have in that, and I'll put those in that, and then I'll pull my Waddles out and I'll put those elsewhere. It's a whole thing, Neil. It's a whole thing. It's a lot of work. Yeah. It's a whole thing. But let's go to the kicker position here and round out with that here before my filler arc. He said I'll do this one now. $4.99. DK is still busted on my end, so I don't know his name. But what about the other tight end for Miami, the cheap one, 1.3K? That would be Dermot Smythe. How do you feel about him on today's slate?
Let me see. His last game, Durham Smythe. He didn't play in week 6. In week 5, he played 49% of the snaps, 62 the prior week. He had been more involved prior to last week. Actually, maybe that accounts for Gesicki being more involved last week too. So maybe that's a knock against Gesicki as well. But he had been fairly involved. We have Durham Smythe at 9% ownership. So he's not really like a great, like nobody playing him type of play. I will have some Durham Smythe. My guess is that I will be a little bit under the field. He's not my favorite.
Chase Claypool, rare is only $15.89. That's kind of random. People really don't like this game. People really don't like Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
That makes me excited. I think that'll be a good thing. Famous last words, Neil. Famous last words.
That's right.
I think we caught up on super chats. Let's talk kickers and defense. Everybody's favorite. They only smash. So there's that. You already gave us your kicker stance. So now we go to defense. Dolphins and Steelers. Dolphins going to be very popular. Steelers less so. People play a lot of the offensive people from the Dolphin side. If you don't have your cruncher set up a certain way, you're not going to get them. Make sure you watch Neil Orfield's videos so you get all of that information. But how are you feeling about both of these defenses on today's slate to round out our show?
Yeah, so I was getting to a ton of the Dolphins defense just by when I did not do anything to adjust it. They look great. It's they're going against a rookie quarterback. What else do you really need to know? They're in a spot where they can certainly, make some turnovers happen. It's not a great defense. That's the downside to it. It's a bad defense against a bad offense. Hard to really know what's going to happen. You kind of have to let ownership dictate how you play it to some extent. They're coming in at 21.2% ownership. I'm actually getting a little bit more than the field there, which I'm fine with. I think I'm also willing to play quarterback against my defense. That's a way that I like to get different in these showdown slates. So I kind of tend to get more of the defense just because it's a way to make different types of lineups.
Love it. Anything else you think the people really, really need to know with 4 minutes left until lock?
Anything people really, really need to know? I think we've covered
about your lineups or
well.
anything specific.
As I just said, I like to sometimes play my quarterbacks against defenses. We see it win all the time, and I think people are starting to smarten up to that fact that you can play your defenses against your quarterbacks, but still a lot of casual players will be hesitant to do it. So that is something that you can certainly make happen. And I've said this before. Sometimes on FanDuel, you get players ultra low owned. So like Jaylen Warren is even lower owned on FanDuel. He's coming in at 5.3% ownership. I love just finding some of those players where it's like, it'll take one touchdown and you're just crushing the field there. So sometimes you can find those really low owned guys, and I think they make a lot of sense. All
right, guys, make sure you have your lineups in. I know it was getting dicey there for a while. It was definitely getting dicey, but I think we made it here. To repeat, for people who have 2 minutes and 26 seconds is what it says there in the old timer. Who is your favorite captain play straight up on DraftKings.com today?
It's probably either Freiermuth or Jaylen Warren.
Jaylen Warren, baby. Oh my gosh. I love how uncomfortable it is when you say that, because I know that then it's a great captain play, and I'm probably wrong about that.
I mean, he could do absolutely nothing and absolutely crush your lineups. I would not play it in, like, if you're playing 5 lineups, don't play Jaylen Warren in all of them. But I would think about playing him in one just because he's getting very little ownership. He splits time with Najee Harris. So I like him.
All right. Let me double check here how I'm doing in this one deep roster while I'm finishing it out, because I've got Boswell active as a kicker in that one. Yeah, I'm not going to get up to 211. What are we talking about here? I'm definitely playing the showdown with those cards. Good to know. Finished it out for me. Thank you to Tyler Zander. Did an amazing job there behind the scenes, crushing it. I know we got a lot of Sunday football. I know everybody's tired. If you had a bad slate, if you had a good slate, I'm very, very happy for you. Mine hit the absolute fan at the end there. Sounds like DK Metcalf. X-rays came back negative. That's pretty exciting.
Nice.
That's good stuff. You got your lineups in?
I have a set in. I'm trying to do one final crunch.
Do it.
Yeah,
you do that. I'll kind of get ourselves out of here because, again, been kind of a overall shit show. No other way to put it here to start off. Thank you to No House Advantage. Let me double back and see how much overlay they ended up with today, because it's wild to me. 821 out of 1,200. Pretty good, actually, for that main $20. The $5, only 43% full. 207 out of 480 total lineups for that one. Pretty incredible, the opportunities you guys have to make some major money over at No House Advantage. Use promo code Stokastic. Get it right now. Let's see. Did I stall enough for you there?
I am working. We'll see if I can actually get them in.
Oh my God.
It's going to be close.
It's always down minute by minute. Notorious by Stokastic. I just hit the slopes in the bathroom to get fired up. But wow. I almost did it. That's imagery.
Got my final crunch in. We'll see if that costs me a lot of money or hopefully puts me in a spot where I can potentially make money.
I think I get 10% if you absolutely smash. I think that's
you did a good job of buying some time for me there.
Teamwork makes the dream work, everybody. Enjoyed it. It's been up, it's been down, some down, a lot of down. But either way, it's been a really, really enjoyable show. Hit that like button as we get out of here. Subscribe button, notification bell. You know what to do. We'll be back here same time, same place next Sunday. Until then, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NFL streets tonight. Monday, coming back with more.